He stared at the glossy investment deck on my kitchen table, 73 pages of buzzwords and pie charts, and all I could do was smile coldly. My late wife Sarah and I had built our life through honest work and careful saving. She'd been gone 3 years now, taken by cancer at 61, and the life insurance money she left behind was supposed to be Tyler's safety net, not funding someone else's fantasy. My son Tyler had always been a dreamer. When he was 8, he wanted to be an astronaut. At 12, a professional hockey player. At 16, a video game designer. Sarah and I encouraged every dream. Told him that ambition was good, but it needed to be paired with hard work and realistic planning. For a while, it seemed like he understood that. Then he turned 25 and discovered entrepreneurship. His first venture was a craft beer subscription service. He'd taken a brewing course at the community college and was convinced he could revolutionize how Canadians discovered local breweries. I supported him, wrote him a check for $45,000 from my retirement savings. It lasted 11 months before the logistics costs ate through every penny. Tyler was devastated, but he learned, or so I thought. He spent 6 months working a regular job, paid me back 12,000 of what I'd lent him, and I told him to keep the rest. It was my son. That's what fathers do. His second attempt was a mobile app for connecting dog owners with local pet services. Better plan this time, more research. He gave him $38,000. Sarah was in treatment by then, and she made me promise we'd always support our boys' dreams, even when they seemed impossible. That business lasted 14 months. The app never gained traction. The money disappeared into development costs and marketing that generated nothing. Tyler was 29 when that failed. He moved back home for a few months while Sarah was in her final stages. It was good to his mother. EAJ gave him that. Sat with her for hours, held her hand, told her about his plans to learn from his mistakes and do things differently next time. She died believing in him, and I was grateful for that. After the funeral, Tyler moved to Toronto. Said he needed a fresh start, needed to be around other entrepreneurs, people who thought bigger than our little Edmonton community. He understood. Grief makes people want to run. And maybe the city would help him find his footing. For the first 6 months, he called every week, then every 2 weeks, then monthly. The conversations got shorter, more distant. He was busy, he said, networking, learning, positioning himself. He met some people, had some opportunities brewing. I didn't push. A 30-year-old man needed space to find himself. Then the calls stopped altogether. 5 months of silence. He left voicemails, sent texts. Nothing hostile. Just checking in. Hey bud, haven't heard from you. Hope you're doing well. Give your old man a call when you get a chance. Radio silence. He told myself he was busy, embarrassed maybe about the failed businesses, but it hurt. It hurt like hell. Then last Tuesday, he showed up at my door. I barely recognized him at first. The scruffy boy who'd left had been replaced by someone in a tailored blazer, designer jeans, and shoes that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. His hair was styled differently, pushed back with some kind of product. And standing next to him was a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of an Instagram ad. Dad, this is Madison. Tyler's smile was wide, but didn't quite reach his eyes. Madison Chase. Sis, my business partner and girlfriend. Madison extended a hand with perfectly manicured nails. Mr. Mitchell, I've heard so much about you. Tyler's told me all about your electrical work. The pause before electrical work was slight, but I caught it. Like she was trying to find a polite way to acknowledge my blue-collar past. Robert's fine, I said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm but brief, like she was already thinking about the next thing. Come in, I wasn't expecting you, Tyler. Would have cleaned up. The house looks fine, Dad, Tyler said. But his eyes were scanning the living room like he was seeing it for the first time. The worn recliner where I watched hockey games, the photos of him and Sarah on the mantel, the modest furniture we'd bought piece by piece over 40 years. We sat in the living room, Madison perched on the edge of the sofa like she was afraid something might transfer to her cream-colored pants. Tyler sat next to her and I noticed how he kept glancing at her like he was looking for approval. So I said, breaking the awkward silence, 5 months is a long time, son. He was starting to worry. I know, Al. I'm sorry about that, but I've been incredibly busy. That's actually why we're here. He reached into a leather messenger bag and pulled out that glossy deck. We're building something revolutionary, a platform that's going to completely disrupt the personal development industry. Madison leaned forward. Robert, what Tyler's been too modest to mention is that he's been absolutely instrumental in developing our business model. His insights into scalability have been game-changing. He looked at my son who was beaming at her words. That's great, Bud. What exactly does the business do? Tyler launched into an explanation that I could barely follow. Something about leveraging social media algorithms to create passive income streams through high-ticket coaching programs and digital products. Madison chimed in with phrases like seven-figure potential and disruptive innovation and quantum leap opportunities. He listened for about 10 minutes trying to understand. Finally, I held up a hand. I'm sorry, but I'm not following. Are you selling something? Coaching people? That's the actual product. Madison's smile tightened slightly. Robert, we're in the transformation business. We help people unlock their potential and create the life they've always dreamed of. The product is possibility. Right. He said slowly. And people pay for this. High achievers understand the value of investing in themselves, Madison said. Her tone had shifted, more patient, like she was explaining something to a child. Tyler and I have built a system that's already generating significant interest. We have a wait list of over 300 people. That's fantastic, I said, looking at Tyler. So, the business is making money. My son shifted in his seat. We're in the pre-launch phase. We've been building our audience, establishing our brand presence. The actual revenue generation happens once we complete the tech infrastructure and scale our operations. Which brings us to why we're here, Madison said, sliding the investment deck across the coffee table. Tyler and I have put together a comprehensive business plan. We're seeking a strategic investment of $165,000 to take this to the next level. The number hit me like a 2x4 to the chest. I'm sorry, what? I know it sounds like a lot, Tyler said quickly. But Dad, this is different from before. This isn't some half-baked idea. Madison has done this before. She's coached dozens of entrepreneurs to 6- and 7-figure success. She knows exactly what we need to do. He looked at the deck without touching it. Tyler, can I talk to you alone for a minute? Actually, Robert, Madison interrupted. I think it's important that I'm part of this conversation. As Tyler's business partner, any investment affects both of us. Transparency is crucial. Something about the way she said it rubbed me wrong. This was my son, my kitchen, my money she was talking about. But Tyler was nodding along, so I swallowed my irritation. Okay, I said. Then let me be transparent, Tyler. You know I love you. You know I've always supported your dreams. But $165,000, son, that's not money I have sitting around. Dad, I know it's a lot, but think about it as an investment, not an expense. When we scale this business, you'll get your money back 10 times over, 20 times. This is your opportunity to be part of something huge. Madison pulled out her phone and showed me her Instagram profile, thousands of followers, photos of her in exotic locations, designer clothes, motivational quotes over sunset backgrounds. This is just the beginning, Robert. Tyler has the same potential, but potential needs capital to become reality. Where exactly would this money go? He asked. Tyler flipped open the deck to a page with a breakdown. 60,000 for tech development. We need a custom platform. 40,000 for a marketing campaign to build our launch momentum. $25,000 for content production, professional video equipment, editing software, a studio setup. $20,000 for coaching certification programs for both of us, $10,000 for business travel. We need to attend 3 major industry conferences and $10,000 for operating expenses. You've exhausted all other options. Bank loans, investors, traditional financing doesn't understand the creator economy, Madison said. Banks want to see existing revenue. Angel investors want equity. What Tyler and I are offering you is a family investment opportunity. A chance to be part of your son's success story. The way she phrased it made it sound like I'd be the villain if I said no. Can I think about this? He asked. Of course, Tyler said, though I caught a flash of disappointment. Take your time, but Dad, we do need to move quickly. We have a limited window to capitalize on current market conditions. They stayed for another hour. Madison did most of the talking, explaining her vision, her track record, how she'd identified Tyler's potential the moment they met at some networking event. Tyler watched her with something close to worship in his eyes. When they finally left, Madison kissed my son in my driveway, and I saw him glance back at my house, at me standing in the doorway, like he was showing me that this was his life now. These sophisticated women, these big dreams, this expensive future. He closed the door and sat down with that investment deck. 73 pages, beautiful design, lots of graphs showing exponential growth projections, testimonials from people I'd never heard of, photos of Madison speaking at events, Tyler beside her looking proud and purposeful. He spent that evening reading every word, and the more I read, the more wrong it felt. The testimonials were vague. The financial projections had no basis in reality, just upward trending arrows. The proven system Madison referenced was never actually explained. And most troublingly, every section emphasized Tyler and Madison as a team, as partners, but nowhere did it specify what would happen if that partnership dissolved. He knew what Sarah would have said. She'd have seen right through this. She'd have asked the hard questions I was afraid to ask because I didn't want to lose my son. But Sarah wasn't here, and I had to decide whether to hand over money that represented her final gift to our son, the life insurance payout that was supposed to be his inheritance, his safety net, his future security. I called my brother Dennis, who'd run his own construction company for 30 years. Bobby, he said when I explained the situation, you're asking me to tell you what you already know, which is that this smells wrong. This Madison woman. Does Tyler have anything in writing about their partnership? What happens to his investment in this business if they break up? What happens if it fails? Is he getting equity, revenue share, or is she just getting him to fund her lifestyle while selling him on dreams? I don't know, I admitted. The deck doesn't say. Then you ask. And Bobby, have you looked her up? This woman who's got your boy spending money he doesn't have and asking for more. He hadn't they? He'd taken her Instagram presence at face value. After I hung up with Dennis, I spent 3 hours digging. At first, I found what Tyler must have found. The glossy surface. Madison Chase, business coach, helping entrepreneurs break through limitations. But when I dug deeper, cross-referencing names from her testimonials, checking business registrations, following the trail of her previous partners, a different picture emerged. Madison had a pattern. In Vancouver 2 years ago, she'd coached a young man named Aaron Patel. They invested $85,000 into their joint venture. 6 months later, Madison moved on, and Aaron was left with debt and nothing to show for it. His LinkedIn still showed him working retail, recovering. In Calgary, 18 months ago, there was Jennifer Kowski. $110,000 invested in Madison's revolutionary health and wellness platform. Jennifer posted about the betrayal on Reddit under a throwaway account, but I found it through some creative searching. Madison had taken the money, launched a basic website, then dissolved the partnership when Jennifer questioned the expenses. There were others, a trail of young, hopeful people who'd believed Madison's promises and ended up funding her life while getting nothing in return but debt and disappointment. My son was being conned by someone who'd turned manipulation into a business model. He could have just told Tyler, shown him the evidence, But I've learned from 38 years of marriage that sometimes people need to come to realizations themselves or they never truly accept them. If I confronted him directly, Madison would just spin it. Frame me as the jealous father, the unsupportive parent who didn't understand modern business. Tyler would defend her, choose her over the evidence. He needed a different approach. The next morning, I called Tyler. Hey, bud. I've been thinking about your proposal. Can we meet for lunch? Just the two of us? There was a pause. Dad, I think Madison should be there. We're partners. I understand that, but I'd like to talk to my son first. Father the son, then we can all meet together. How about Thursday? Tim Hortons on White Avenue, noon. Anotar pause. Okay. Yeah, Thursday works. It sounded uncertain, like he needed to check with someone first. Sersta came. He got there early, claimed a corner booth, ordered coffee, and waited. Tyler arrived 15 minutes late, apologizing about traffic. He looked tired. He noticed circles under his eyes. You okay, bud? He asked as he sat down. Yeah, just been working crazy hours. Madison has us on a tight timeline for the business launch. And the content creation. We're trying to film a week's worth of videos every Sunday, posts every day, engagement, community building. It's a lot. You're still doing all this without funding? Nadie. Madison's been covering some costs. She believes in investing in your own vision. She's put in about $15,000 so far. $15,000 that she'd probably taken from some other hopeful entrepreneur. But I didn't say that. Tyler, I want to ask you something. And I need you to really think about the answer. What happens if you and Madison break up? Brisel. Why would you ask that? Because, son, mixing business and romance is complicated. Your mother and I kept our finances separate until we got married. It protected both of us. I'm asking what protections you have in place. Madison and I are solid. We're building something together. A relationship and a business. She says the most successful partnerships are built on total commitment. No exit strategies, no backup plans. That's how you know you're all in. He took a slow sip of coffee. That's also how you end up with nothing if things go sideways. They won't. But if they do, is your name on any business registration? Do you have an operating agreement? Ribbon or split define. Tyler's jaw tightened. You don't understand how things work now, Dad. Madison says traditional business structures are for people who don't trust their partners. We're building on trust and shared vision. Madison says, I repeated. Tyler, I'm hearing a lot about what Madison says. What do you say? What do you want? I want to build something meaningful. I want to prove that I can succeed. I want, he stopped, looking away. I want to stop being the guy who fails. The guy who had to move back home, the guy whose dad has to bail him out. And there it was. The wound that Madison had found and was exploiting. You're not that guy, I said quietly. You're the guy who tries, who risks, who learns. Those other businesses, they didn't fail because you weren't good enough. They failed because business is hard and sometimes things don't work out. That's not character failure, Tyler. That's life. Madison says you can't approach entrepreneurship with that mindset. She says success requires absolute certainty. And what does Madison risk if this fails? He asked. What does she lose? Tyler didn't answer. He pulled out an envelope. Inside was the information I'd compiled. Aaron Patel's story, Jennifer Kowski's Reddit post, public business records showing 3 dissolved LLCs registered under Madison's name, all within the past 4 years. Bank filings showing she'd been sued twice for misappropriation of partnership funds. Both cases settled out of court with NDAs, but the public records didn't lie. Before you look at this, I said, I want you to know I'm not giving you this because I don't believe in you. I'm giving it to you because I do. And because your mother made me promise to always protect you, even when you don't think you need protecting. Tyler opened the envelope. Read the first page. The second. His face went pale, then red. Where did you get this? His voice was shaking. Public records. Cross-referencing, a few phone calls to people willing to talk about their experiences with Madison. This is, ad. These people are probably just bitter, unsuccessful. Madison warned me that there would be people who'd try to tear us down. Jealous people who can't handle seeing others succeed. Tyler, I kept my voice level. Look at the pattern. Same promises, same model, same outcome. And son, look at this. He pulled out another document. This is Madison's Instagram from 3 years ago before she was a business coach. She was a wellness influencer. Before that, a crypto investment advisor. Before that, a real estate mentor. She changes her brand every 18 months. Always the same structure. Find someone with money or access to money. Promise them partnership. Take what she can. Move on. No. Tyler was shaking his head. You're wrong. You don't know her like I do. Maybe I don't. But I know this. She's never built anything that lasted. She's never created anything of value. She just moves from person to person, opportunity to opportunity, taking what she can and leaving debris behind. And now she's asking for $165,000. Tyler, that's not my retirement money she wants. That's your inheritance from your mother. That's Sarah's life insurance payout. The color drained from Tyler's face. What? He hadn't meant to tell him like this, but the truth was out now. The money you're asking for, it's the life insurance payout from your mom's policy. She wanted you to have it for a house down payment someday. For starting a family, for emergencies. She made me promise I'd give it to you when you really needed it, not just when you asked for it. Tyler, I don't think this is what she meant. My son sat there, the papers spread in front of him, his whole world recalibrating. I could see him trying to process it, trying to fit this new information into the narrative Madison had built. I need to talk to her, he finally said. Okay, I need to show her this and hear her explanation. Okay. And Dad, he looked at me, really looked at me for the first time in months. Can you give me a week before you decide anything? Take the time you need, Bud. He left without finishing his coffee. The envelope clutched in his hand like evidence he didn't want to believe. He didn't hear from him for 4 days. Then my phone rang at 2 in the morning. Tyler's name on the screen. Dad, his voice was wrecked. Can I come home? He arrived an hour later, eyes red, hands shaking. He made coffee while he sat at the kitchen table where Madison had pitched me her dream 72 hours earlier. She's gone, he said finally. I showed her what you found. At first, she was angry. Said you were poisoning me against her. Said this was exactly the kind of toxic family dynamic that held people back. She wanted me to cut you off completely, prove my commitment to our vision. But I prompted gently. But I asked her direct questions about Aaron, about Jennifer, about the business registrations, and Dad, she couldn't answer. She tried to spin it, but I watched her face and I could see it. Everything you found was true. Maybe worse than true. It choked on the words. She said if I couldn't trust her over my own family, we were done. Business and relationship, all of it. I'm sorry, son. Don't be. He laughed bitterly. She's already posted on Instagram. New partner. Some guy from Montreal who gets her vision in ways I never could. She moved on in 4 days. That, 4 days. He reached across the table and gripped his hand. That says everything about her and nothing about you. I almost gave her mom's money. He almost. It broke down then and I moved around the table to put my arm around my 31-year-old son while he cried for the dreams that weren't real and the mother who wasn't there to tell him he'd be okay. But I was there and I could tell him what Sarah would have said. You didn't lose anything, I told him. You learned something and that's worth more than any investment. The next few weeks were hard. Tyler moved back home temporarily, embarrassed, but relieved. He got a job doing project management for a marketing agency. Not glamorous, but honest work with a real paycheck. He deleted his Instagram, stopped following the entrepreneurs and influencers who'd been feeding him impossible promises. 3 months later, we were having breakfast when he said, I've been thinking about going back to school. Project management certification. Maybe an MBA eventually. Real skills instead of whatever I was chasing before. That sounds good, BUD. It's not exciting. It's not going to make me a millionaire in 3 years. But will it make you happy? I thought about that. I think it might. Or at least it'll give me a foundation, something real to build on instead of sand. Your mother would be proud of that, I said. And I meant it. 6 months after that night in my kitchen, Tyler met someone new. Rachel, a teacher who worked at the same school I'd wired 20 years ago. She thought his MBA plan was practical and his past business failures showed courage, not weakness. She didn't promise him quantum leaps or 7-figure potential. She just liked him for who he was, not who he might become if he gave her enough money. We had dinner at my place, Tyler, Rachel, and me. Simple meal, nothing fancy. Over dessert, Tyler told Rachel about the Madison disaster, told it like a funny story now instead of a tragedy. Rachel laughed at the right parts, winced at the painful parts, and when Tyler mentioned the $165,000, she looked at me and said, "Thank God for fathers who know when to say no." After they left, I sat in my living room with Sarah's photo. I hope I did right by him, I told her picture. I hope you'd agree this was the real investment, teaching him that success isn't about the big score. It's about building something solid, one day at a time. I like to think she'd agree. Tyler graduated his MBA program last spring. He's working for a mid-sized consulting firm now, making decent money, saving for a house. It talks about proposing to Rachel soon. They're looking at a modest wedding, something meaningful instead of showy. He asked if I'd help with costs, and I said yes, because this time it's real. This time I'm invited. This time, my son isn't trying to prove anything to anyone except himself. And that $165,000, it's still there. It's still waiting for when he really needs it. For a down payment on his first house, for his own kids, education someday, for the life his mother wanted him to have. Not a fantasy sold by someone else, but something he builds with his own hands, his own heart, his own honest work. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is the courage to disappoint the wrong people. He gave Tyler that gift when I said no. And he gave me one in return when he chose to believe me over someone who promised him the world but couldn't deliver anything real. That's the real investment, not money. Truth. And it pays better returns than any business deck could ever promise. This is Velvet Reckoning. If this story of cold justice and hard-earned redemption hit you hard, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. You never know whose turn is next.